series for 2022. We were able to get through all of them in person for the first time in a couple of years, so that's very beneficial, and we're happy about that. And today our topic is money management, and with us today is Tammy Ridder, and Tammy is a loan officer and the associate branch manager at Thornapple Credit Union at the Delton branch here in Delton, as well as an adult mom, as she makes sure to remind me today when presenting this. And she has been involved in the banking industry for a period of time, taking off some time to be a stay-at-home mom, but she's been with TCU in this, with this office for the past 8 years. And also her daughter Kirsten is here to assist her in today's presentation. So welcome Tammy and Kirsten.
As Tim nice to introduce me, I'm Tammy Ridder. I do work in the Delton office as a loan officer and assistant branch manager there. And today we're going to be talking about taking back your finances. Okay, so first we're going to talk about some of the things that qualify us to speak to people about money management. We have been in Berry County since 1964. We do now have three branches, one in Hastings, one in Delton, and then we also have one in Middleville now. At this point, we do have 28 members of the staff, and we do offer a full range of products and services that are equivalent to what you'd find at a large bank. So today's agenda, we will be going over topics such as budgeting, payday advances, credit scores, credit repair, and credit cards. Are any of you guys familiar with budgeting? Does anybody use a form of budgeting or? No.
We try to.
Okay, yeah.
With gas and grocery prices right now.
Everything keeps changing so much. It's, yeah.
Yeah, it's a struggle.
It is a struggle, yeah. And so we all kind of know the definition of budgeting. You know, it's balancing your expenses with your income. And like you were stating, it's so hard with the different changes that are going on with our economy, keeping up with that. The reason budgeting is beneficial is that it does ensure that you have enough money for the things you actually need. Following a budget does help keep you out of debt, and it can also help you work out of debt if you are there at this time. And budgeting can help save you money on things such as NSF or late fees from overdrafting and stuff like that. Has anybody here heard about the Dave Ramsey, what he uses is the envelope system? Is anybody familiar with hearing about that at all? No? Okay. So yeah, Dave Ramsey, he has this envelope system where you put what cash you need into an envelope for each particular bill, or I guess, well, yeah, bill that you'll be paying, you know, be it like food, gas, electric. And so one of the great things that we offer at Thornapple Credit Union, and I'm not sure if other financial institutions offer this, but we offer what we call a sub-account. So you have your account, and then under that you have different sub-savings accounts that you're allowed to nickname. So I know, like even myself, I have some that are nicknamed, you know, like electric, you know, propane, vacation, you know, the dream. And so what I do is, and then you can factor out, like, you can set up automatic, like, withdrawals or deposits into that account. Like, say you get a monthly income, right? You know, you can say, okay, I'm going to take 10% of that and I'm going to put it into that account, you know, every month. And so you can line it up so automatically when that direct deposit hits your account, it'll go right into, 10% will go into utilities or whatever it takes to cover the bill that you have for that month. So then when that time comes to pay the bill, the funds are in there and available to either you can have it automatically be withdrawn, or you write a check, or however you typically want to pay a bill. Okay, and there are different tools for budgeting. I did give everybody a worksheet. It's one of the back sheets there. It's buried. Yep, the worksheet, that one, right? Yep. And so it lists like all of the normal kind of everyday bills that you might find a household making payments on every month. And so in budgeting, it is kind of hard to set up a budget. I shouldn't say hard, but it is like, it's very, like you have to actually sit down and like think about things, like say, okay, I do spend this much on getting my hair cut, or, maybe I go get coffee, or, and all that stuff has to be accounted for while you're setting up your budgeting in the worksheet. There's also some good apps that you can put on, like if you have a smartphone, there are some nice apps that can be used to also help you budget, or...
I don't like a phone that's smarter than me.
Sometimes they're not smarter than us.
I was gonna say, your current audience doesn't
Yeah.
use any of those, so.
So one thing I do recommend is definitely if you are using a debit card, use the check register. That is very useful to keep track, because oftentimes if you're using a debit card, it does not pull immediately. It'll kind of be just sitting there, but you'll think it's still available, and then...
What's bad is that some places charge, like when you're getting gas, there's the gas station puts a hold of $150 on your account.
They do,
And if you
yeah.
don't pay attention to that, or, well, for the longest, we didn't have to worry about that. But the way things are going now, you gotta pay more attention now and stuff, because I definitely do not wanna overdraw.
Right, yeah, yes. Yeah, so yeah, I guess I recommend using a check register. I know you don't like the phones, but my check register's on my phone. It's like an app.
I actually carry check.
Okay, and you have, yeah, and so, and it's nice, because then, I swiped my card, okay, I'm putting that in, so I can see where my actual balance is. But yeah, the worksheet is really handy. It does take sitting down, though. It just takes some time. I shouldn't say hard, it takes some time to go through and make sure you fill everything out. Okay. All right, and has anybody ever heard about payday advances?
I've heard about it, but I've never used it.
Those are good for you for not using it. Because overall, like the payday advance, it's really not going to benefit you as much as it's going to cost you money. It's not really going to get, you'll feel like you're getting ahead at the time because you'll be getting a sum of money, but it really costs you more than it's worth. And it does not help build your credit, because it's not an actual loan to build credit. And overall, if you use it continuously, it can actually create a bigger problem for you financially over time. Like this next slide shows overall what someone might actually pay for one of these. It's really an incredible amount. So if you do like $100 and you have to pay it back, I'm sorry, I'm not really familiar with them, but so my understanding is that you get you can get up to 4 of these in a month for $100, and the payback would be $115 for 2 weeks. So you're essentially paying more than.
I always considered them like loan sharks.
Yeah, I have too. I've never actually used one. But we did have, I guess, one of the girls that works at our office, that could not be here tonight, she actually used to work at one of those, the payday advance places, and so she's very familiar with it, and so she saw so many people just hurt themselves financially by just continuing trying to use that instead of tackling their financial issues in a different manner.
Right. Yeah, I think I don't think that's a good thing.
And so some alternatives, instead of people going to the payday cash stores, is to go to your financial institution and speak to someone there about getting like a small loan, maybe to pay off whatever bill it is that you're trying to cover. We even offer at Thornapple Credit Union what we call a mulligan loan, and a mulligan is basically a second chance. So what it is it's a guaranteed loan that we offer to anybody, even if there's a collection or a late pay or a charge-off on their credit report. We still, as long as they have a direct deposit with us, we can still offer them a loan. There are more, as you can see, there's kind of more limited things in there. It is actually, this needs to be updated, but it is actually a 9-month term, and we do go up to $1,000. But there's also a $50 application fee with that, and then the interest rate is kind of high at 18%. But it's still going to be better overall, because what you'll be doing is when you get a mulligan loan, you will actually be building your credit score, because it is an actual loan that will help build up your credit score. And it's the interest rate is a lot less than what you pay at the payday advance. Okay. All right. Does anybody know what their credit score is? Okay. All right. You guys, okay, have an idea of what your credit score is? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you use like the annual credit report, or did you just?
No,
No?
it's just,
You just kind of keep an eye on it?
if I go apply and they tell me my credit score.
Okay, sure, yeah,
So-
right, yeah. So, the credit score is basically, it's your credit history expressed as a number. One thing some people like to call it as a grade for how responsible you've managed your loans and your credit lines and other financial obligations over the years. They are important because having a good credit score will, of course, give you a lower interest rate on most loans. In some places, even being able to get a loan depends on what your credit score is. Like, has to be a certain, I feel like recently we've had a lot of really young people looking for mortgages, but they haven't even started building their credit yet, and so we've been having to work with them on, okay, how do you build your credit so that you can get that mortgage in 2 years like you're wanting to do, and so it is possible, but it is definitely something you have to go at with, I guess, thinking about it like it's a real.
And if you get scammed, then it just blows it all to crap.
It can, yes it can. And that's why there are some, like I know with us, we even offer, with our checking accounts, we offer, it's called secure checking, and basically it's like, kind of like that LifeLock, so it kind of follows your credit and lets you know if something's hitting it or not, and where that's at, so you can keep that. And then also if your identity is stolen, it will help you get your identity back, which is what I've heard is a real hard thing to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very.
And here's just like a credit score scale. Different places use them to kind of differentiate where you might fall getting an interest rate. And then also in the pamphlet there, at the very back, there was those 3 pages that talks about like credit repair and stuff, and also talks about like what makes up your credit score. So as shown here, so your credit score has nothing to do with how much finances you have in the bank at this time. It doesn't matter. You can have $0 and still be able to get a loan. That does not affect your credit score or your ability to get a loan. And collateral is not always needed either to be able to process a loan. The biggest things that are going to affect your credit is basically your payment history. Have you been paying on time? How long you've been making payments? One thing that gets people sometimes is like when you go to like a car dealership, sometimes that can hurt you because they'll run your credit at like 5 to 10 different financial institutions just to see what sort of loan they can offer you for that vehicle. And every time that financial institution is going to run your credit, so your credit is getting ran that many times.
Right, and then they keep dropping it as they're running.
Yep, then it makes your credit score go down, yep. It definitely goes down a lot faster than it goes up.
Yeah, way faster.
Some of the things that you can find on your credit report is, fraud is one thing. So, like I mentioned with that, the LifeLock or the secure checking, they will go through and they'll kind of, keep track and let you know, like, hey, did you run your credit for this on this day? And, obviously if you didn't, you'd be like, oh, that was not me. And you can, start remedying that at that time. So that's one thing that's handy to be able to look at your credit report. There is the annual credit report that you can go to and check your credit report if you ever want to do that. If you haven't gotten a loan in a while, you just want to be like, I want to see where that's at. Because my understanding is that actually it is oftentimes people who maybe are not out working as much or getting as many loans, those are the ones that are more highly likely to have someone try and use their social security number and stuff like that to try and run something under their, do some fraudulent activity. Another thing that the credit report can show, actually if someone is a military member or not, or if they have a military loan. Of course, the credit report will show a credit score and any collections that that person might have on their credit report, as well as any current loans that they have at the time. And the loans will show things such as, charge-offs, late pays. I hear a lot of people talk about Credit Karma. Credit Karma is basically like a guesstimate. It's not 100% accurate credit score. Oftentimes we find that they're about 20 to 30 points off, either higher or lower than what it ends up actually being on the credit report. It is better to avoid a lot of hard pulls on your credit report like we talked about, because it will start lowering the credit score. When you start looking at credit repair, the first thing you want to do, of course, is prioritize any debts that you might have on your credit report. And these are things, like I mentioned, like the charge-offs, any sort of late pays that you might have. You want to start with the late pays first, because you want to get that paid prior to it becoming a charge-off and then becoming an actual collection. Because there are more fees involved. Well, of course, there's fees involved with late pays, but then as it goes towards collections, then you have even more fees that you're paying. And you want to avoid having to pay more money. Usually it takes about 6 months in a row of not making a payment before it's actually sent to a collections. Credit reports really are about 6 months before they show a difference on anything. A lot of places now, because medical collections are pretty common, so a lot of places really are letting anything medical kind of be okay as a collection, because it is so common at this time. But non-medical are ones that will probably hold up you being able to get a loan and just holding your credit score down. I don't know if anybody's ever heard about settling on a loan or a collection. So you can call a company, and sometimes they'll offer, hey, you owe me, you owe us $100, but we'll accept $25 today. You can do that. It will say, will save you money, but it will also stay on your credit report. So a settlement will stay on your credit report, where if you're paying something in full, it will get removed from your credit report faster than a settlement. And sometimes getting a loan with a settlement is a little bit more trickier than being able to get a loan after you've paid something in full. Other times there are times, a lot of times, that people have been able to call a collection company and actually set up payments like that work for them. Seem to be, so far I've seen that they seem to be pretty willing to accept different payment plans from people, instead of wanting everything all at once to do that, to pay off a collection. So yeah, part of that packet there, I did include, I think, 3 different sheets that go over credit repair and some different tools that you can use. You find in the sheets there, yeah, the ones with the different colors on them, yeah. And those kind of just go over different ways on how to look at starting to create a credit repair plan for wherever you might be financially on with any collections or late pays. So anyway, so some of the tools, one tool that you can use is credit cards. Some people can use a credit card to kind of start working on it, because basically what you do is, it would be like a personal loan or a credit card, and you would be able to just consolidate any debt that you might have, any of the collections and stuff, and then go ahead and then make that monthly payment towards that. You know, like say you know that you have, your unconsolidated debts is like $450, but if you consolidate them under like a personal loan or credit card, your monthly payment would be $200, so then you're saving money, but still making the payments, not, and not hurting yourself financially.
With your credit cards, though, you always want to pay more than that minimum payment.
Yes, yeah, that's what I'm saying, yeah, you need to, yeah, you definitely need to do that. One nice thing to do is maybe if you know, you can make a plan with yourself even, and say, I have, this is how much I can pay monthly, so I'm going to apply that to that amount, and then have it paid off in a certain amount of time.
Well, before the boys came, we always paid them off every year,
Okay, yeah.
but the longer the boys are with us, the longer it seems to take us to pay.
It does get trickier, yeah. And a lot of it though, like some credit cards have really high interest, and I don't know what your interest rates might be right now. But that is definitely something to look into and see if maybe you can find something with a lower interest rate.
Well,
They used to keep sending you letters saying you can get this low interest rate, and they don't do that anymore.
They don't. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Remember all the zero interest
yeah,
rate things that used to
and
come out?
when we got our cards, they were at a low interest rate, but then they raised the interest rates and virtually doubled all of them, but luckily we were okay still, but, I mean, I don't know, it seems like it's just getting harder and harder for your money, I mean.
It is, yeah. Yeah, you have to, I don't know, like I have a hard time with ATMs when you have to go and pay to get your money out of a machine.
Yeah.
I won't use
I'm
one
like,
that you
why are
have
we
to
doing
pay
this?
for.
Yeah, I don't get that one.
Tammy, one of
The
the
casinos
things
want
with-
you to do that.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Well,
One
it
of
just-
the things with credit scores that frustrates me every time it happens is if I pay off a credit card in full. And
Yeah, and that
my-
means you're,
And then it goes down, my credit score goes down as a result.
yeah, why does it do that?
Because they do want to see, I think it's like a 30% limit being used on your credit card at all time, and it just, for some reason, that calculation helps them.
They make more money.
Yeah, basically, they're making money, yes, I'm not sure.
They make more money.
But that's not right, it's not fair, because, yeah, when you pay them off, it goes against your credit score instead of helping your credit score.
Right. I think it's because one of the biggest reasons about the credit score is having that credit limit that you're using. and making continuous on-time payments. So, that's why they want you to keep a balance on something, so that you're not just paying everything off every month, because then, essentially, yes, that's the weird part, it's like, I am making my payments on time, but
Yeah,
at the same time, you're also not using your credit, is what they're looking at it as. I mean, you're using it, but you're not using it because you're paying it off. And unfortunately, that doesn't make any sense. I agree. Some of the nice tools that we offer at Thornapple Credit Union that can also help people track like spending and budgeting is, well, we have a mobile app that you can put on the smartphone. And we do offer text alerts, so basically, you know, say you run your card somewhere, it'll actually text you and say, hey, this much was, you know, $50 was ran at Shell Station. And just kind of gives you a reminder and lets you know, oh, hey, that was not me, or, you know. So that's always handy to do that follow-up, just to also, you know, prevent fraud happening to you. We also do offer a financial partnership program. We do have some certified people that work at the credit union that have been through financial counseling courses, and so they actually will set up you can set up an appointment with them to do some free budgeting and credit repair. That works for you, yeah. All right, and we've made it to the number. All right, so does anybody have any questions?
So,
Or-
Tammy, a lot of the people in this room have young children at home. How about savings? What would you recommend for, I know the one family has 3 young boys at home. What would you tell a family with young kids about saving money or having the kids save money?
Well, we have the kids, they have piggy banks,
Okay.
and they have their wallets. And then, last year, we had them save their allowance for the whole year, and they bought a go-kart.
Oh, my, okay.
And it took all 3 of them working together to do it. This year, they're wanting to spend before they even make it. So, but, gotta work on that. But then everything else now is so expensive that we was thinking about doing another go-kart, but now it's doubled in price.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's just not, they're not gonna wait 2 years without spending.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I've noticed that a lot, like working in loans, that everything is just doubled in its value, although it's really not.
Yeah.
The value is still the same, but the value is doubling or, yeah, going up. But
Right, it's the same thing we bought
it's the same
last
product,
year,
yeah.
And yet it's doubled in price, and it's not any better than.
Yeah, because I know like recently we've been able to, you know, even refinancing loans for people, it seems like they, you know, we might have done a loan for them for a vehicle a year or 2 ago, and they're able to come back now, and the value of the vehicle is higher than it was when we originally did the loan 1 to 2 years ago. So, yeah, I'm not sure who is doing the value. I'm not exactly sure who chooses or decides what the values are of things, but yeah, I noticed that is definitely something that's happening.
Well, and then they raise the value at the license plate, well, and tell you it's worth more than what, so they raise your plates.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Yes, like you don't win for nothing. The boys, they'll tell you, Grandma and Papa used to have money, but they don't no more. They have us.
Right, and so you say, so the boys do get an allowance then, is what
Yes,
you're mentioning?
yes.
Okay, now do they have accounts set up anywhere, or do they just kind of do a piggy bank at home?
We don't do accounts because we did accounts for our grandchildren,
Mhm.
and, they started charging fees on it, and,
At first, when we opened the accounts, they said, oh, you'll never have to pay a fee on this. 6
Yeah.
months later, they're taking money out because now we got a monthly fee.
Oh,
They
okay.
said, if you have $100 in there,
we won't
we
take it out.
Right.
We won't take it out. 6 months later, they start taking out. Well, if you got $500 in there, we won't take nothing out. 6 months later, if you got $1,000 in there. So,
Unfortunately, that is a bad experience.
Yeah.
And I apologize
Yeah.
if that
Yeah.
happened, that is,
We.
yeah.
It
and-
wasn't
and that
TCU, was it?
No,
Right.
no, it was Kellogg.
it was Kellogg's,
And then
started out
Hastings
with
City.
Kellogg Credit Union first.
Oh, okay.
And then Hastings City Bank did it to us,
Oh.
after we moved all the accounts, there were 6 accounts,
Right.
and we moved them all, and
And they were all they were minor
Oh,
accounts?
yeah.
yes,
Wow, yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And I was working out of town, so I didn't even check him. He never opened the envelopes, and every one of their accounts got wiped out except one still had $250 in it, but all the other accounts were totally
Like,
empty.
yeah. they
Was it
could-
like dormant fees, is that what it was, like, cause you were
Yeah, you know, because
We put
if you're
money in
not
it,
putting $100 in every month,
yeah, because before,
they're gonna
they said
take it out.
you could go 6 months without
Making
getting a
him
fee.
deposit, okay.
But they kept changing it, and he didn't pay attention, and I was working, and I didn't pay
Right.
attention, and they just wiped the accounts right out, except one still had $250, and we just closed that account right out. It was like,
No, if you're gonna take my money, I'm gonna take it out. So,
and since then, we have not had an account for the kids at all, because, yeah, 'cause we lost, well, the kids actually lost a lot
Right.
of money that we put for their savings, and then they lost it. And I know right now Hastings City Bank is doing a thing at the schools, but I won't put any money in it. I
Oh, right,
just-
cause they go to the schools and do the,
Yeah, yeah, but I just won't, like I said, they have their piggy bank, they have their wallets, and we
Mhm.
just, and we have a gun safe. We just,
right, and put it, yeah. I guess one thing that you could do, like, without getting an account somewhere, is still, I guess, go through with them, like, okay, you know, this is how much, you know, it's gonna cost you to purchase this item, and so they can decide, like, from their allowance, like, you know, how much from this allowance are you going to put towards that, and then the rest will be your spending money, and then it'll ultimately be like, how fast do they want to get this? It's probably how much they're going to put towards it, and how much they actually need for spending money, because sometimes, you know, kids need spending money for different items that you know, whatever, however that works with your
they
family.
just expect Grim and Papa to buy it. But they are kind of spoiled, I guess, but,
yeah, when they, spring break, you know, had to go to Walmart's. Oh, we need new bikes.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
and then they said, oh, we'll pay for it out of our allowance. That lasted for about a month, and that was like, where's my allowance? I'm like,
You
haven't
spent
paid
it,
your
yeah.
bike yet,
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I need, and it's like,
It is hard, because it is, yeah, it seems like, you know, as soon as, it's just like sometimes it seems like a domino effect of just items that that you want to buy them. Because you're like, oh, it'll be good for them, they'll need it, or, you know, they'll use it, and then,
well, they hadn't had a new bike in, 4 years, so
obviously they were
they,
fun time,
they needed new bikes, and with summer and just,
Yeah.
and we don't plan on going nowhere and stuff, so they gotta be able to burn up energy.
Right. With gas prices, I don't think any of us are going anywhere in the summer. Or we're all gonna be riding bikes, I guess.
Well, that's what I told my friend, she's like, you're not gonna go on a vacation, and I'm like, no, I said, the boys has got camp, and that's it, I said,
That's the
we're,
only vacation we get, they go to camp.
And that gives you a vacation, that's nice.
it's just,
Even for us, the Boy Scout camp for 1 week went up. Thank goodness I don't have 3, like you do. $350 for John to go to camp. But he gets his own money, and he has a savings, but with assistance, which is Medicaid,
Mhm.
that he has. I was just telling Sherry about this a week ago. You can't, you gotta keep the money under a certain amount.
Oh, right, yeah.
Anything over $2,000 in that account. And he said to me, something about, did I use some of his money out of his account to pay for baseball? And I said, yes, I did. I always do for you.
Right.
Yeah, and he says, well, why don't you start taking it out of your money and save mine? He says, for my college education. And I said, well, that sounds really good. But where am I gonna get the money?
Right, right.
My daughter takes care of my money, because I got granddaughters that,
Mm.
you know, Granny, do you have 20? Granny, do you have 20? Do you have 10? I mean, it's a, and being a great grandma, I'm like, okay, all right, I can do that. No, I can't do it.
Right.
And finally, she just said, Mom, just, I'll be your banker. And it's worked out a lot better, because they see my second book,
Oh, okay.
and that book lies a lot, and so it shows not much in there. Because
Well, in all honesty, you kinda have to,
Well,
because otherwise they bug the crap out of you.
they don't
and
stop
things
until they get what they want.
Yeah, and the boys are notorious for that even. They're like,
Well, they're a lot younger than mine are. They're in their 30s, okay? They know better. But,
yeah, but the boys has figured out.
They're figuring it out too.
Yeah, and what we've got left and stuff, and why can't they have it? And I'm like, just gotta save it.
yeah, well, they have to learn. They do. I was watching something or reading something, I can't remember exactly what it was, and where some of the schools teach the children from like first grade up how to save, how to do this and how to do that.
When
And I
was
think
in
that's
school,
really
they
cool.
even taught
Yeah.
us how to do a checkbook and stuff, and I think that kids need to learn that, because kids don't learn to
I think
manage
that was the
money.
last one that
They're-
learned that. I think that was one of the last ones that learned that. Like, they started to, when I got to third grade, and they're like, never mind, we're not gonna stop doing that. We're gonna start teaching this new math.
Something good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they don't even teach them to be able to survive on their own, really.
No. Even like processing taxes.
And normally, I
Kids have no
know
idea.
what my propane's gonna cost me
Me too.
by now. But they told me it's not even gonna be until July, and they don't even have any idea what they're gonna charge
Because
me.
everything's too unstable, they don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, I mean, I thought it jumped bad last year.
Are you in a lock-in?
We pre-buy, we pay in advance every year, so,
Mhm.
because you get it cheaper, but they won't even tell us
Negotiate that with you?
what it's gonna be or anything, or even if they're gonna even do it. So, that's scary, because the
And
way
taxes.
the way the electric is going, and now they're saying they're gonna add another charge on top of that for the summer, it's like, it's a never-ending battle.
Right.
Mhm.
So do you folks have any more questions for Tammy related to the finances and how?
Can you give us lotto tickets?
Winning lottery.
Winning lot.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I stopped at a gas station today, and I saw an individual come out with a couple of scratch-offs and sit in her car, and she went back in, came back with a couple of more scratch-offs, went back in, came back in with a couple of more, and I'm thinking, okay, is she winning so much so she's buying more and trying to win bigger? Is she losing more and keeps, throwing money to the cashier? And it made me wonder.
That's scary.
That's like the last time we was at the, casino. Now they use your debit card, and they want you to use your debit card instead of cash. And I'm like,
Yeah, they don't use mine.
no, you're not getting my numbers.
Right.
Like I've seen a lot of people getting hurt by the online gambling. That seems to be
Yeah.
Yeah, now they're saying that there's some of them that, they won't give you your money, they won't let you cash out,
Oh, during the time that you're there?
or
No, it's
while you're
online.
online, it's
Online
online
gambling.
gambling. But if you win and stuff, they don't let you cash out, you have to keep playing.
Oh.
Well, that would not be
but
Right.
like I
If you're
told him,
losing.
they figure out every way to scam you.
Well, I do it the best, I don't go.
Well,
No.
thank you very much
Yes,
for
you're welcome.
coming. Tammy, has actually really helped us out because somebody else was scheduled and wasn't able to, so she got a last minute call some point today, so thankfully she was able to arrange her work schedule and more likely family life schedule to be able